All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk. It's a Tuesday. You know what that is. Power rankings time. I'm Jeff. Brad is here. Brad, how are you?
I'm good, man, but I'm feeling kind of shaky on this list. There's too many teams between 8 and 10 wins on here. It's hard to
Yeah,
figure out where to put them.
there's a lot of good football teams. I mean, we talked a little bit before we got on here. We didn't disclose our list, but we talked about the uncertainty that we have, and I mean, rightfully so. I mean, I'll just give a team that didn't make my list because I usually start anyway. So the Baltimore Ravens are 8-5. They have a plus 90 point differential. They've won 2 games in a row, and I couldn't fit them on my list. I'm not there on them, and I even did a top 11 this week again because I felt like the number 11 team is, in my opinion, dead nut tied with the 10th team. I gave the one team a slight edge, so I don't know. There's a lot of good football teams. Even the Arizona Cardinals are 7-6. The Raiders, they're kind of starting to slip. The Vikings coming off a tough loss to the Buccaneers are 6-7. I mean, there's still good football teams. The Giants, who both made our list, mine 2 in a row, yours last week. I'm guessing they're not on your list anymore. They didn't make mine. Um, let's go ahead and get into it. But there's a lot of good football teams
Hmm.
coming in at number 11. Miami Dolphins. They're 8-5, number one in total takeaways. They're tied with Pittsburgh, and they're number two in turnover differential. They don't give it up, and they take it away. It's as much as you can ask of any team. I would like this team in the 10th spot, except for they're playing with a rookie quarterback. In the 10th team, who I'm about to say, has the greatest quarterback that's ever played. Coming in at 10, it's Tampa Bay Bucks, 8-5, plus 76 on the year. If this team didn't have Tom Brady and a plethora of weapons, I would probably not have them on the list. 8-5 is it's a solid record this time of year, and I do think they're going to win out. But they're 2-4 against teams with winning records. They're not great. Um, they're on here simply because they have the ability to beat anybody, but they have a lot of flaws. Coming in at number 9, it's in my opinion, now the second best quarterback in the world. I have dethroned him from number 1. Uh, it's the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson, 9-4, plus 69 in the year. Russ is just he's been a turnover machine as of late. I don't know what's going on. He probably just thinks he has to do enough to keep this team alive. He has 12 picks now on the year, after not having several in the first several weeks. And I mean, he's just collecting them at this point. Coming in at number 8, I knocked him down a few pegs, but I still think this is a very good football team. It's the Cleveland Browns at 9-4. The Ravens just beat them last night. Yeah, well, the Ravens struggled to pass on people, and they were able to do it on the ground. Um, I think the Browns even dropping 42 on as good of a defense as the Ravens have. I was impressed. Um, Browns have a lot of defensive issues, and going into a January playoff game, they are going to be in luck because it's going to be even colder than it was this past weekend. I don't know. I still like them moving forward. And my only discredit to them all year has pretty much been Baker, and Baker hasn't been bad. He's been all right. I mean, we can't shit talk him too much longer. Coming at number 7, I love this football team. It's probably the lowest I would put them. They have limitations just like everyone else, but it's the Tennessee Titans at 9-4, plus 54 in the year. The reason I love this team is they have the best running back in January. It's Derrick Henry, number 1 in rushing yards. They're number 2 in rushing in the NFL, and they've only given it away 9 times on the year. It's tied for the best in the league. They don't turn it over, and they run the football. What more can you ask of a team? They're well coached, and they have a quarterback that is out to prove something even after he got his contract. And they have 2 great receivers. So I like Tennessee. I love them. I think they could beat any given team, any team. Doesn't matter who it is on any Sunday. Coming at number 6, I love this football team too. And God, it was a rough watch last Thursday night when they kicked the dog shit out of the Patriots, the Rams. 9-4, plus 79 on the year. Aaron Donald now is number 1 in the league in sacks. It seems like this team can beat anybody. I mean, truly. They don't have a lot of flaws. They're fantastic defensively. Up front, they have Aaron Donald. In the back end, they got Ramsey. I mean, their one flaw, I guess, is Jared Goff, and he's not as bad as people say he is. Coming in at number 5, It's a little low for this team. I think they can still make up ground, but they're slipping on my list. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're 11-2, plus 112 on the year. They're number one in turnover takeaways. The thing I love about this team is they have the receivers. They're struggling to catch the ball. They're struggling to move the football through the run game, but they take it away. They harass everybody they play. And, playing a game at Heinz Field in January gives this team an advantage. And if they can just fix and tweak some things that they're doing, this team can beat anybody too. Coming in at number 4, kind of a shocking loss after me and you both predicted that they would dismantle their opponent on Sunday. The New Orleans Saints dropping a spot. I got them just down a couple of spots. They're 10-3, plus 103 on the year. I think ultimately, if they had game tape on Jalen Hurts before the game, it probably would have been closer. But they don't have their top quarterback, and they finally lost without Drew Brees for the first time in 2 years. I'm not going to be completely down on this team. They're still great. Coming in at number 3, I think this is the highest this team's been all year for me. It's the Buffalo Bills at 10-3, plus 38 on the year. Josh Allen has 34 total touchdowns. He has been, from what I said he was in September to what he is now. I mean, I already apologized publicly way back in October. It's a damn good quarterback, and they have weapons. I don't love their run game, but I love what they do and how they move it. They're the only team in the league that's had 20 first downs on everybody. They're good. They're a good football team. Coming in at number 2, though, even better team. Green Bay Packers, 10-3, plus 87 on the year. They're tied with Tennessee for the least amount of giveaways in the league, and they're number 1 in scoring. So they score a shit ton, and they don't give it up. They're fantastic in that sense. Back in the bold predictions pod, way back in September or late August, Aaron Rodgers was picked by the NFL players as like number 12. It was the first time he had been picked outside the top 10 in several years, and the last time he wasn't, he was the MVP of the league. He has a strong case this year. He has been incredible, and they're the second best team in the league, in my opinion. But the best team in the league, and they continue to show it even when they get punched in the mouth. It's the Kansas City Chiefs at 12-1, plus 122 on the year, best in the NFL. And you know how good they are? This is how good they are. How bad is Jacksonville? That's my question to you. I'm posing that question to you. They're bad, right?
They're not. They should be winless. They should be winless.
Okay, they should be winless. So Jacksonville has the exact reverse record as them. They're 1-12, where Kansas City's 12-1. They also have the exact reverse point differential. So as bad as Jacksonville is, that's how good Kansas City is. And that we shouldn't even be misstating that. They're number 1 in yards, number 1 in pass yards, and they have the best quarterback on the planet. And he might be looking at another MVP. Right there with Aaron Rodgers, they're both fighting for it. That's my list. I feel all right about it. Truly, from 1 to 11, the Dolphins gave Kansas City a dogfight. They picked them off 3 times, and Kansas City was still able to win. It just goes to show you what Kansas City is, and I still like the Dolphins. And if they didn't have a rookie quarterback, I would probably put them higher on this list. And I have faith in them. But the AFC is tough. So, yeah, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, I think there's a few teams that you might lift your eyebrows at me a little bit differently. Some teams, I left 2 9-win teams off the list. The Colts and Seahawks, both barely left off my list. Seahawks lost to the Giants, and at this point, any team on this list should really dismantle the Jets. So I'm not really going to give them too much, hype for their win. The Dolphins, that performance that they put on against the Chiefs, the Dolphins are in every game they've played this year, and they've won some that maybe people didn't expect them to. But they're right outside. But I believe every team on this list, including those 3, will be in the playoffs. I'm going to start at number 10. We agree. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. God, if the Vikings had a kicker, they would have lost coming off their bye week. So
yeah,
I don't think we can overlook that. This team does have the knockout punch at any given moment with the amount of talent they have on offense and in their front 7. Got some secondary issues. The problem is they're 6-1 versus teams under 500, and they're 2-4 against teams above 500. They've got the number 1 rush defense, but I don't know. When they play great teams, they look very shaky. Number 9, I'm going to go with the Ravens. They came back in a storming win. I think if Lamar Jackson didn't have to leave for 2 series, I think there was only 1 or 2 punts by the Ravens the entire game. They were just scoring points at will. Now, granted, the Browns were too, but Lamar Jackson overall, he he's a weird evaluation, but there's a couple times a game where he becomes unstoppable, and it's really fun to watch. And as a Steelers fan, I hate that I love the 3 quarterbacks in my division outside of my own as well. They're all fun to root for, in my opinion. Number 8, moving along here, I've got the Cleveland Browns right above them, and I know they just lost to them last night, and they lost to them twice now in the year. But the Browns team, in the live show, I predicted the Ravens to win by 14 plus because the Ravens offense did exactly what I thought they would do. I just had no idea the Browns offense had this in them against a top level defense. And what Kevin has done with Baker Mayfield makes this team formidable. And this offense is starting to come around, and it's scary because they scored at will on the Ravens last night, especially in the second half. Moving to number 7, the Titans. The Titans have just had a brutal schedule. They've played a ton of great teams all throughout the year. It wasn't in one stretch. It just seems like every other week you turn around, the Titans are in some kind of, game of the week. But they do have Derrick Henry, which is, he's just fascinating as a human being, like how big he is and how fast he is. They have A.J. Brown, who hits home run balls, seems like every other game. And Corey Davis and their coach. The defense does enough. I like the Titans at number 7, but 7, 8, and 9, the Browns, Titans, and Ravens, all in the AFC, all neck and neck. And I would say right now they're neck and neck with my 6th team as well. I have the Steelers there. I know this is a what have you done for me lately, but you like to try and mix it in with their entire slate of what they've done all year. This team is 11-2. It's the second best record in the NFL. Their plus minus is 112. They lead the league in sacks and takeaways. But this team, as of lately, looks like a glorified Chicago Bears. Khalil Mack, TJ Watt, Akeem Hicks, Cameron Hayward, Kyle Fuller, Joe Hayden, Eddie Jackson to Mika Fitzpatrick. And then the offense just looks, bad at times. Oftentimes it doesn't even work. It looks disgusting. And they win games that are close by their defense. And as the Steelers aren't even winning games as of right now. So I think their problems are fixable, but there's no way they can be in the top 5 after what we've seen the last 2 weeks. Number 5, Packers. I have the Packers at number 5. And Aaron Rodgers, 39 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That's fantastic. 119.7 QBR. That's first in the league. Completion percentage is 70%. My only problem is they are 9-1 against teams under 500. They're 1-2 versus teams above 500. Did I say above both times? Excuse me. But when they play good teams, they've played the Saints, Bucks, and Colts. Those are the only 3 teams they've played that are above 500, and they're 1-2 in those games. They beat down on bad opponents, but when they play other playoff teams, in one of those games they got destroyed by the Buccaneers, who are 10th on both of our lists. So I'd still like to see the Packers play more great competition, and in 2 weeks they've got the Titans. That should be a really fun matchup. Number 4, I have the Saints. They didn't have any tape on Jalen Hurts. They came in, that team was on fire. They were at home, and they just beat them too badly in the first half. I think the league's starting to catch up with Taysom Hill, and there's too many quarterbacks like Taysom Hill now that are better at throwing the football. So there's more tape out, period. Taysom Hill's not the answer. He's done enough, but I still have this team at 4 because Drew Brees is coming back. And they lost early to the Packers, but they didn't have Michael Thomas. That's a big part of their game. The Saints were different early in the year, but I have them at number 4. Number 3, I have the Los Angeles Rams. I think the Rams, they had a little stretch where Jared Goff was turning the football over. Before and after that, they've been lights out. The team's 34-0 when they're up at half. They have 4 losses, and 2 of them are just to their kryptonite. Flat out, they can't beat the 49ers. Thank goodness they won't have to in the playoffs, but they just can't beat them. Their defense, first in yards per play, second in third down percentage, second in opposing passer rating, third in sacks. We all remember that weird loss they had to the Dolphins when Jared Goff just kept scoring for the other team. That was just a weird game, but the Rams are the only team, even over the Chiefs, only team to outgain their opponents by over 1,000 yards this season. Over all their games, they have outgained their opponents by 1,000 yards. I think the Rams are a formidable force, and I wouldn't, at this point, I wouldn't even think it's shocking to think that they could make it out of the NFC as a Super Bowl team. Number 2, Bills. Like you said, 20 first downs against every team. Fewer than 25 points allowed in 3 straight games. They're number 1 in fourth quarter takeaways. They're a Hail Mary away from 7 straight wins. They had one little slip up right after Josh Allen got all the MVP hype. They hit the Chiefs and Titans back-to-back weeks. They lost them both, and they really turned it around since. They're one of the elite teams. I don't think anyone can complain about having them top 3. Number 1's the Chiefs. Now, we've had them at number 1 ever since the Steelers took their first loss. You even had them there before that. Since week 9 on, they're -1 in the turnover margin, so you'd like to see them clean that up a little bit. They're starting to get loose with the football. I just think that although they are number 1, I don't think they're as far out ahead as most people think. They do have 5 straight wins by 1 possession. Wins are wins, but they are not crushing all their opponents. And whether it's on them or on the other team playing well, they are keeping people in games. But it is electrifying to see how this Chiefs team can be outscored 17-3 in the fourth quarter and still win, can throw 3 interceptions and still win. They're lightning in a bottle, and at any given moment, you can't stop them. They have the leading passer in Mahomes, the leading receiver in Kelsey. Tyreek Hill's top 3. At one point, Tyreek Hill had a stat line. He had 1 rush for 32 yards and a touchdown, and 1 catch for 44 yards and a touchdown. That was a stat line at one point in the game against the Dolphins. You can do everything to contain them. 1 play, touchdown. So this team moves the ball well. They're the number 1 team. I just think they are beatable. And as for teams such as lower on my list, Dolphins, Ravens, Titans, Browns, Colts, Steelers, the Bills and Chiefs are atop the AFC. And if you are a neutral spectator, if your team's not in the playoffs or you cheer for the NFC side, the AFC playoffs are going to be fireworks. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Same with the NFC, but gosh, the AFC is so good this year. There's going to be plenty of good records, but that's my top 10. I'd like to hear your guys' in the comments. Tell me why mine's wrong. Tell me why Jeff's is wrong. Tell me why yours is right. But these are all playoff teams. But watch out for the Rams. I think they are a lot better than some people give them credit for.
I love the Rams. I have them at 6, but it's because they have 4 losses. But I do love them. And I agree with you. 2 of those losses, I hate to say fluke losses because you lost, but the Niners just seem to be, there's something weird there. Okay.
I think Sean McVay is 1-5 against the 49ers in his 3 years or something like that.
You said the word kryptonite. That's fair. That's a fair accusation there because the Rams are a better football team than the Niners are. There's no argument there. Okay. I mean, you said it way back when. Then you got off the train, then you were back on it, and I've kind of regained the steam on it. They're a Super Bowl type team. This is a team that can win the Super Bowl for sure. They have everything you want to beat Kansas City. Because for me right now, that's the bar. You have to have a couple different things. Okay. Don't even bother to say that you can beat Kansas City unless you can do one of these things. Can you run the football? Do you have a lockdown corner? And do you have a competent head coach? If you can't do those 3 things, you can't beat Kansas City. I love the Rams because they have Ramsey, they have a competent head coach, and they can run the football. The rest is all plus in my opinion. I mean, Kansas City, they have only lost a few games under Pat Mahomes. Go back and look. They've all ran the ball. They've all been great coached, and they've all been able to somewhat contain the offense. Outside of the Raiders, who scored 40 and Kansas City only scored 30, that's a fluke. Most of the time, it's because you have success against them. Miami, if they had running backs this past weekend, they'd have beat them because they have a lockdown corner. They have a smart coach. They couldn't run the football. It wasn't enough. They picked him off 3 times. I don't like Buffalo against them. They can't run the football. I don't like Pittsburgh against them. They can't run the football. You got to be able to. I think Pittsburgh has a lot of things to match up with Kansas City, and I hope to God we get that matchup. We deserve it. I don't know that we're going to, though. I just don't.
The 7th seed in the AFC is going to be either the Ravens, Dolphins, Browns, like Colts, Titans. I mean, that's the 7th seed.
You keep
in
saying
the
Titans.
AFC.
Are you saying that the Colts are going to beat the Titans still? Are you still on that train?
Well, right now the Colts are leading the division. They've
They
already
are?
played twice. The Colts right now are in first. That's what it has on my. Either way, if they are or aren't, I believe the Titans still play the Packers and the Colts still play the Steelers. But outside of those two games, they both have winnable games. I mean, the Colts still play the Texans and Jaguars, and at the Steelers, who aren't playing well. So the Colts have 3 incredibly winnable games, and then the Titans, their last 3 are Lions, Packers, Texans. They have 3 winnable games.
So right now, I have it up. The Tennessee Titans do have the division lead because they're 4-1 in the division. The Colts are 2-2, and they have a better conference record. So as of right now, the Tennessee Titans would have to lose either more games or more divisional games. They do have that.
Either way, I'm just saying because their division's so close, one of them's going to be a wild card team. So you have the Titans or Colts, one of those two teams, and then you have Ravens, Browns, Dolphins. Out of those 5 teams, only 4 of them can make it.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying one of those teams are the 7th seed. So even if you get the 2 seed, whether that ends up being Buffalo or whether the Steelers hold on to it, or I mean, heaven forbid, if the Colts, went out and beat, if one of those teams gets, Titans wouldn't have tiebreaker. Regardless, one of those 5 teams are going to be a wild card team.
Yeah.
If you're the 2 or 3 seed, you're not feeling great about where you're at because of who's coming to town. It's just nightmare matchups. The worst team in the playoffs for the AFC side potentially is going to be 10-6. That's incredible, especially with an expanded playoff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the AFC is great. I mean, my list alone: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I'm 5-5 again. Shockingly, I was shocked to see that.
I also want to point out, we got contacted on our YouTube page about having the confidence to have the Giants at 9 on my list, 10 at your list. I know it was quick to have those 2 teams disappear, but if Alex Smith is truly hurt, Washington is done.
Absolutely.
And the Giants, if they continue to start Daniel Jones over Colt McCoy, every time he gets touched, the ball's on the ground. That's all I'm saying. Every time Daniel Jones gets touched, he's fumbling. He turns the ball over too much at the quarterback spot. I'm not saying he's a better talent throwing and running the football than Colt McCoy. But Colt McCoy didn't turn the ball over against the Seahawks, and they were able to beat them.
Yeah.
This Giants team, I mean, I don't expect them to be able to beat the Browns, who they still have to play, or some of these other teams if they're going to turn the ball over. So, Daniel Jones until he fixes the turnover issue, and if Washington's starting anyone not named Alex Smith, I don't think those teams are serious contenders for the top 13. One of them will be in the playoffs, though.
Yeah. I mean, Washington, they have an under 5. They're under 500 on there, 5-7 on the year, right? Yeah.
Yes, they're 6-7.
6-7. They have a plus 12 point differential. That is wild to me. Okay.
Crazy.
And so the Niners, they have 3 games left, right? They play at the Cowboys, at the Cardinals, and against the Seahawks. If they can blow out the Cowboys, even if they lose close to the next 2 teams, they have a chance. And I would have to look this up in history. I would assume this would be the first time in NFL history that a division, the division that we've picked all year pretty much as the best division in football, the NFC West, they would have 4 teams with a positive point differential on the year. Wild. Crazy. That just shows you they beat everybody in their division right now as we sit 2-2. All 4 teams.
God, the 49ers are banged up too. It's crazy to think what they could have been. Kyle Shanahan, the coaches in that division are incredible. The whole division, the quarterbacks, everything. It's just if you could say the 49ers are the worst team in your division, that speaks for itself.
A team that at the beginning of the year we said their floor was 11-5. Now, mind you, that's pre-injury and stuff like that, but yeah.
But the Steelers, just to note, just some things I know. If the Steelers beat the Bengals Monday night, doesn't matter what happens, they win. They clinch the division. It'll be theirs and theirs alone. They'll be 4-1 in the division with 12 wins as the lowest they could go. That would be enough to lock up the division. that's the only playoff, for sure that I know that can be locked up. I think Green Bay has clinched their division. Yes, they clinched it
Yep.
already. The Saints kind of creaked the door open because the Saints play the Chiefs, and if they lose and the Bucks win, Bucks would have to win out, and Saints would really have to fall apart here at the end. But that's not locked up yet. Rams and Seahawks both knotted up at 9-4, still fighting for that division. So there's still plenty left to play for, and I believe all teams in the AFC East still have a chance to do it, especially the Eagles. They have 3 games left, and that tie gives them a little bit of a tiebreaker over Washington or the Giants. So who knows what this Jalen Hurts thing can do, but they just beat the Saints, so don't tell me it's not possible.
Yeah. Who knows?
Nobody.
Who knows? What was I gonna say? Oh, so I'll leave this brewing. Answer this on Sunday because I'm gonna re-ask. I know your answer. You can answer it now if you really want to. Pittsburgh hasn't scored 20 in the month of December. They're gonna score it on Cincinnati, right?
I truly believe the only way, like, no one's gonna take the Bengals win super seriously because the Bengals are so bad. No Joe Burrow. But the only way for the Pittsburgh Steelers to be back in serious contention, they have to put up at least 30 on the Bengals. They have to show that they can at least do it to the bad teams. If it's like 24-17 somehow or 13-20 on the Bengals, you couldn't put up more than 20, 25 points. So I
Yeah.
think I still think it's solvable. Maybe that's just me being a Steelers fan, and those of you looking at my list, maybe you're like, really, Steelers at 6? Like, they should be lower, but maybe you don't feel that way. But the last 3 weeks they've looked really, really bad. But 11-2, obviously, I have big ties to the Steelers. Maybe Ravens or Browns should be higher. I still don't think the Browns will beat the Steelers week 17, so we'll see. Well, 1 week at a time, but Steelers don't look good. But yes, I believe they have to hit the 30 mark against the Bengals. And of course, I think they'll do it. I'm a Steelers fan. Come on.
Yeah. Gosh, for midway through December, man.
Crazy.
Season's
Christmas.
almost over. Christmas is around the corner.
NBA's
God.
7 days.
2021, the much anticipated 2021's around the corner. Wow, what a year for the pod! What a year for football! And we're not done. We ain't done yet. We'll be back. If not Thursday, we'll be back Tuesday, and NBA's around the corner too. So we'll see you guys later. Go Patriots.
Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for listening. Go Steelers, as always.